Hey folks, Scully Nomad here. Hope you are well, and an extra special welcome on board my Juno Odyssey 40 sailboat. Today's main job is going to be cleaning the water tanks. So I'll be using the Puriclean, which will treat 360 litres of water. I hold 320 litres of water, and it's split between two tanks. So basically what it does is it cleans the tanks of all the germs in there. I've used it before. I do have an Amazon link in the description below. I did pick it up from Force 4, so if you don't have a sticks and bricks store near you, then feel free to use the link. So I'll basically be splitting it into two, and I'll be running it through the system. So that's the first task for today, and this is going to be the main theme for this video. I do have a few other tasks, so if you do kind of like the vlog styles videos, then stick around for that. But we'll also be reattaching some of the sagging wall liner, or the headliner if you prefer. But of course, let's start on the main event, which is the Puriclean. Now on board I have 2 tanks, 2 sinks and 3 taps, one of which is the shower in the head, which is also a tap. But in the galley area, I do have one of these filter taps in the galley for drinking, and it is plumbed in, and it uses the BWTS filters here, which are the inline filters. There is a slightly upgraded version of it, which is like a pink colour, which has magnesium in it. Underneath the sink, to get the water in through the filter tap, which is this hose here. Basically the kit comes with this clamp. Now the clamp will not pierce the regular kind of marine hose like this. So what I did is I chopped the hose halfway through, and I used speed fit pipe, and then used 2 regular Jubilee clips to hold it in place, and then I just used a clamp to pierce it. So this basically drills a little hole into the pipe, and it's not leaked, and it's worked great. Which I'll be changing the filter and the regular tap on there, which does the hot and cold water. I also have a deck shower, and when people do this they forget that they've got the deck shower. So what you want to do is run it through everywhere. So let's do that. For the most of the year I do use the boat, and the water is flowing through. However, there are parts of the year where I'm away for several months of it, so therefore sometimes the water sits around in the tank. Now I try and get through it, and when I do refill the tank I'll give the boat a quick once over clean wise, so that first of all the boat looks nice and clean, but second of all it also runs the water through the system from the pontoons. This solution, because I'm doing over 50 litres, it needs 6 to 12 hours to actually do its thing. So I'm going to be doing this just before bed. So because it's going to be in the system for that long, I don't really drink the tank water anyway, but I've made sure that I've got 5 litre fresh water for the coffee machine. Now this is a pre-planned job, so I've not topped up the water. I've still got some left, so the easiest way for me to get rid of the leftovers is just simply washing up, doing the cooking, and go for a shower. One of my water tanks is actually underneath the V-berth here, and as you can see we've got the lining here, so that's what we're going to try and reattach. So we're going to take everything out. Hopefully I can get into the water tank. There is an inspection hatch on there which I'll show you. If I can get it out, I'll scrub the tank, but I do treat it throughout the year anyway, so I'm not too fussed if I can't. Now this white stuff here is something called DryMat, and what it does is it creates an air gap between your mattress and the like the wooden bit, or if you got a camping mat like I do. And what it helps to stop is the you know, damp and moisture going in, so it keeps the circulation around. It's pretty good stuff. I'll leave a link in the description. My little contraption that I made a little while ago. So I'm sure last time I managed to get this one off, but I couldn't get the other one off. But yeah, it's like a special kind of fitting. Apparently you can buy the tap somewhere, but let's have a little go. There's proper stuck on. Let's try the other one. The other one looks newer. But I just wanted to show you this because you got to be a bit creative sometimes, and not everything goes to plan. There we go, so that one came off. Alright, so yeah, it looks pretty clean. Now I'm actually just going to make the solution in the bucket here, so I'm going to heat up the water on the stove. The hose that you see is actually running water through it, so the hose is going to be nice and clean. With the fresh water from the tap, I put it in a pan and I heated it up. Now I wasn't looking for boiling water, just warm enough to mix the solution together. While the water was actually heating up, I cleaned around the deck filling caps. I have 2 water tanks and 2 filling caps, however they are linked together, but I decided to clean both of them. Once I opened them up, I just used an antibacterial wipe. To make it easy to pour the solution through the deck caps, I used a 5 litre water bottle to make into a funnel, so just literally chop it in half. This is where the deck filler cap is for the back water tank. The neck for the water bottle fits in perfectly, and here's the mixed solution of the warm water. Currently the only thing that's in the tank is this solution going in, and a tiny little bit left over. I know that my tanks are joined together, but I wanted to make sure that the solution is as evenly distributed between the 2 tanks as possible. Once I put the solution in there, I actually closed it up. That way I can fill it up completely at the front. I did exactly the same method at the front, where I'd warmed up water and then mixed it in the bowl. With the solution evenly distributed in both the tanks, it was time to clean the bucket and then start filling up the tanks. Once the tanks reach maximum capacity, it takes time for the chemical to work, so because I have 2 tanks over 50 litres, it recommends 6 to 12 hours. To make sure that all the pipes had the cleaning solution inside, I went around to all the taps and turned them on. If you do 100% drain the tanks, then you end up with air inside the tanks. To get around that, you just basically pull the tap left and right like I am. If there was air in there, it would be sputtering. When the tanks were 3/4 full, this is when I went around turning the taps on, including turning the hot water on. This makes sure the hot water tank also gets the solution inside of it. There's a mild odour, but you can kind of see it getting a little bit soapy and frothy. That's how you know you've pulled it through the lines. It's waiting time, so it takes around 12 hours, so we're going to sleep on it. So it's dinner, bed, and then it's empty the tanks tomorrow. Now, if you're finding this video helpful, could you please like it, because it does take me a long time to actually put these together, and this is what editing looks like here. It's the next day, and it's time to drain everything. So what I had done is I put cloths over, so in the middle of the night I didn't accidentally use the water out the system, and I used a water bottle for brushing my teeth with. And on top of that, I had turned off the water pump as well. So might be a nice tip for you if you're sharing the boat with somebody. The weather has improved since yesterday, but it's still very windy. But anyway, let's go in here, because in here I have a tap that I can empty the hot water tank, and as the hot water tank empties, it refills with cold water. So in theory, I can actually drain everything through the bilge via here. For those who are just watching for entertainment, so a bilge pump is basically, if water comes into the boat, it should all come down to the lowest point of the boat, which is here, and that switch there is something called a float switch. What it does is it activates as it kind of floats to the top. I frequently turn on and off the taps so the pump didn't get overloaded, and then I refilled the tank twice. The first fresh water tank I left in there for a few hours and then emptied. So I knew that it was done, because when you wash your hands it's no longer a soapy feel and you can't smell it anymore. Now that I've done the second tank, so it's the second full fresh water now, which I'm happy to use, I'm going to install the filter, change the filter over. My next job is actually going to be servicing the toilet, so the joker valve, the new yacht cartridge, and greasing up the handle. But in the meantime, I'm going to turn the water off. And then I just prepared it here, so I put a bucket underneath. I got some tissue at the ready. It is a bit of a tight space, I'm not quite sure how much you'd be able to see, but let's try and put the camera in there for you. So I'm just letting the excess drain off, which was in the system. Saves me getting too wet. They are really easy to exchange. They're around £20 for a new filter. But you just pull it out the housing, and then the little white tabs, push them down, and then you pull the hose out. It is pretty easy to do. And it's the same on the bottom. And all you do is you simply push the hoses back in. It's very easy to do. And then the cartridge just literally snaps back in place. When I was installing the actual kit itself, it took me maybe half an hour to set the whole thing up. It was pretty easy to do. And there are links in the description below. Then you simply just wipe it down and clean up the area. And there could be some air in there, so if it's anything like my coffee machine cartridges, you're meant to let them soak for a little bit. But it is coming out clear. You can see a few little air bubbles in there, but that's about it. And that concludes the water treatment, and I'll throw up how I did the headlining. It was only a 5-minute job really, but I did it the same day. The next one's going to be cleaning the head, the toilet, and I'll do a car service video coming up soon as well, so maybe in a few weeks. So here we go, that's what a boat project looks like. Now the frustrating thing about having solar, despite it being summer, so the only thing I have on now is my very good fridge freezer, by the way, and my laptop. I was just playing some music. That's all I got. I've got no lights on or anything, but although it's daytime, I'm losing power. If you want to donate to the Solar Arch Fund, be my guest. There is a super thanks down at the bottom if you want to throw a couple of quid my way. But anyway, let's get back to the headlining. First I'm going to actually clean the area, so I'm going to use this mold and mildew blast and clean both sides first, and probably the ceiling as well, because it's been a little while since I've done a bit of cleaning. Then I'm going to let it dry, and then we'll go and start spraying away with the trim adhesive. Because of the humidity in the air, sometimes it can feel a little bit damp on board, especially in the winter, so I used the mold and mildew blast to kind of help stop any kind of mold forming or spreading. Here you can kind of see a little bit on the bottom of it, but it's been a few months since I've been on board, so there's not really been any air circulation, and I've not really managed to clean that much or often because obviously I've been away. While it's drying in there, I'm just going to have myself a little coffee. This coffee machine's really good, by the way. And we're going to do a little job hunt because once again I had a gig cancelled. Super annoying. Alright, what I've done is so this actually tucks in underneath here, so what I've done is I've kind of cleaned everything off. I'm just using my kind of oar from my paddle board to go on there. Hopefully it's not too windy for everybody, but I'm going to be pretty crazy with the glue. I think so. Never done anything like this before really, so hopefully it's going to go well and it's going to stick for a while, and I'm going to use a cloth to kind of help push it along. So I'm not quite sure how much you guys can see, so let's start up here. Now it actually went better than expected, which was quite a nice surprise. So I'm going to speed up the footage for you just because the video is getting a little bit longer now. It's quite interesting watching the playback because you can see the boat swaying on the camera. However, when you're on board itself, you can't really see it. Now let me show you outside. There's a reason why we talk about the weather all the time in the UK. This is the same day. It's also summer right now. So what I'm doing here is I'm using the cloth so I didn't put like fingerprints and handprints in there. So it kind of smoothens out the finish to it. Now it looks like I've made a little bit of a whoopsie there, however that's just the shadow of the paddle itself. I took my time with it, and this section took me about 15-20 minutes to do, so I really wanted the glue to actually stick. If you do like this type of video, then please let me know, because I'm just trying to find my feet on YouTube and trying to kind of go with what people like. So I do a lot of videos where people ask me questions and I answer them, all different types of stuff really. Now my boat is old, it was made in 2002, and my car is also old at 15 years old, and both of them use a lot of maintenance, so I do a lot of not necessarily how-to videos, more of just documenting my experience of doing different things to try and save money. I am trying to save up to buy a mobility van as well, so... Well, I'm giving myself a pat on the back because I've never really done anything like this. I'm using the cloths because it's foam back and I didn't want to push too much and put handprints in. You can see where a lot of the foams come off at the end. I don't really look over there anyway. But yeah, it's all looking pretty smooth. Got the shadow from the oar, but that's about it. But hey, it's better than what it was. But I'm going to wrap this video up, so thanks for watching, thanks for being fans, and welcome if you're a subscriber, and thanks for liking it. As always, I really appreciate your comments, questions and feedback, and just let me know what you want to see and what you want to know, and let me see what I can do.